Yeah, she's doing well. Yeah, good. How's my fellow co-judge? He's doing okay there at the back, yeah, waving, yeah. The dog show, Laughton's very own dog show, went very well yesterday, yeah.
Apart from we picked the wrong one.
Apart from picking the wrong one. Well, don't ever go with me. It's a certain other individual who said, right, we're going to go for that one, we're going to go for that one. His rationale, if you're good enough, he'll explain it to you after the service over a cup of tea, coffee, or whatever it is. But it worked well. I thought it worked very well for me, so yeah. Anyway, mid-70s, maybe a bit later, I was down in Christchurch, Dorset, with a group of other Christians belonging to an outreach organisation known as the Navigators that were very big in universities, certain universities in the 70s and 80s. And we were there for kind of a conference for a week, and a bit of a rah-rah thing, you know what I mean? Hear famous speakers speak and this, that and the other. But anyway, one day they said, we want all of you to go out in pairs and fend for yourself. You won't have a breakfast, you won't have any lunch, and when you come back later on, we'll ask you to speak to or share and give a testimony of what's happened during the day, and then we'll have an evening meal. What do we want you to do during the day? Well, we want you to go out and serve the good old people of Christchurch. Fortunately, where we were staying wasn't too far away from the centre of Christchurch, and you've got no money, nothing, just the clothes that you wear, the shoes that you're walking with. Just go out into the streets in pairs and do what you can, and then come back later on and share what God's done for you. So anyway, me and this other guy went out and knocked on various doors. Nobody seemed to want any particular help in any way, shape or form, until we came across this centre which was for learning disabled, people with learning difficulties and disabled people. And we asked whether we could be of service to them. And they said, yeah, are you any good at gardening? And, well, not that brilliant at gardening, but, we've got some tree stumps and stuff like that. If you could work on them and see if you can move them and get rid of them, that'd be much appreciated. So me and this other chap, we worked on it with axes, saws and spades and everything else like that. And then, well, before you know it, the whole day had passed, we managed to do a fair amount of work. And when we said we'd finished, there waiting for us with sandwiches and cups of tea and cake and stuff like that. Those were the days when I did eat a piece of cake. But anyway, it was very good. So we felt, very pleased. So we walked back and waited for the rest of the people to come back, and then people stood up and shared whatever they had to share. And they were pretty good at saying how God had worked in their particular lives in serving this person, that individual, working in that situation during the whole day. So in effect, it's a bit what Jesus was doing with these 70 disciples, sending them out, and it worked. And we heard these stories, and then we had a prayer session, singing and praying and just thanking God for working on that day. And then we sat down and had our meal. So it does work, or it did work. In this passage, Jesus isn't talking about being successful, and not in the way that we tend to understand it. He talks about the fact that what we're commissioned to do is difficult, is dangerous, and oftentimes you do not get your reward at all. Well, not in this life anyway. It's not going to be easy, he tells them. And not everybody is called to do this. It requires an extraordinary amount of time and effort. It requires a calling. It's a vocation. And no matter how hard you try, you're not going to be able to control the outcome. And some of the people you visit won't share in the peace that you have to offer. Most of the people we came across were very polite, Sometimes towns will reject you, but that's not the point. Just a bit before that, after that, when I was still at Sheffield University, we went door knocking. And completely different reaction to the people at door knocking. It was buckets of water being thrown at me, doors slammed in my face, and various expletives shouted at me when I said that I was a Christian. Would you like to hear more about what Jesus can do for you? And it's a very interesting experience. But the best conversations I had actually were with two Muslims. And they said, come in, sit down. We sat across the table and started talking to each other about our respective faiths, etc. And at the end of the session, we more or less decided, well, you're not going to convert me to Islam, I'm not going to convert you to Christianity, may God be with you, etc. And that's it, we parted in peace. But Jesus is concerned about ensuring that as many people as possible get to hear the good news that God's kingdom is near. That's his goal, and that's the definition of success. We never know who's going to respond and who's not. The challenge is to be able to share it, what God and what Christianity, what Jesus means to us, in a way that engages with people. And we don't know who's going to respond. We never know who's really desperate to hear good news. But we still have to, at some stage, if we're prompted by the Holy Spirit, be able to talk to an individual. Might be somebody who's suffered a loss, a bereavement, or finding things difficult in this current day and age with not being able to manage finances on this, that, or the other. But getting back to the church, I think the biggest challenge facing the church is that most of what the church is geared to do, it's designed to welcome people in to hear the good news. I mean, we're fortunate that we've got an above average number here this morning. The aim of the church, and the aim of the Church of England, and you've only got to look at the various websites and stuff that and hear the speak from the hierarchy. You're challenged as a PCC, as church wardens, to get people to come to church. Mainly it's to do with paying for this, paying for that. They won't say that, but that's what it's all about. But also, it's what they've trained ministers to do. And that's how, over the years, they've organised congregations to work. And that's how the hierarchy evaluates success. About how many people attend services, how many people are on the electoral roll of the church. And that seems to be the only criteria for success, really, at the end of the day. It's how many people, bums on seats, and how many people on the electoral roll. Well, that might have worked at one stage, but it doesn't seem to work now, really. But it doesn't mean that people aren't hungry to hear the good news. Perhaps they've not even heard it. Or more painfully, perhaps we haven't given them enough reason to think we really have anything to share. Now again, a few years later on from the episode in Christchurch and door knocking while at university, I was working for United Biscuits and in charge of a very large distribution site in Park Royal in London, North London. And anyway, the chief engineer used to visit the site because we had quite a few lorries for distribution in the south and southeast. And he used to come in and we'd chat now and again. And then after a while, he said, Mike, he said, there's something different about you. You're not like the other managers. There's something different about you. Can you tell me what it is? Well, if that's not an opening to be able to share something about Christianity and about what Jesus means, then I don't know what is. So I explained a bit about my faith and about what that faith means to me, and especially in the job that I was in. And he was genuinely moved by it. Now, whether he made a commitment or not, I don't know. But he seemed to be genuinely moved by what I had to share with him. And so I think it's time for us to face up to a change of plan. You see, the harvest is plentiful, the labourers are few. Jesus is sending each and every one of us out, but he's not sending us out unprepared. He's already given us the good news, and he's given us people in which to be able to share that news. So why do we do it? Why do we do it? Can I have a volunteer, please? Can I have a volunteer, please? You don't have to say anything.
Would you like us to come up?
Yeah, please, yeah.
Will I need my glasses?
No. You just need your paper folding skills. Okay? Right, now I want you to fold that paper over like that. Okay, you've done that? Okay, fold that over again. Like that. Okay, make the creases nice and sharp. This is why we do what we do, or are supposed to do. Okay? Right? Okay, fold that flat over. Like that. Nice sharp crease. Okay? Now fold that over, that flat there, and then do likewise on the other side. Nice and sharp. It's not rocket science why we do the things that we're supposed to do, and this isn't rocket science either. Nice and sharp creases then, okay? Right, you got that? So how can this piece of paper reveal to us why we do what we're supposed to do? I want you to tear down there, and tear down there, okay?
All the way
All the way down, yeah. Right, and then on the other side. Okay? Right. This remaining piece of paper explains to us why we do the things that we do as Christians. Open that piece of paper out. Turn around. Open it up. That's it. And there is more. That's it. Right. Right, now show that. Now turn around now. We do it purely and simply because of what Jesus has done for us on the cross. Amen.
Amen.
And now I've got to think of what to say down at the bottom because I've just destroyed my first bit. No, it's okay.